Today we meet Kelly Mi Lee, the Chinese-American powerhouse known for her roles as the executive producer and star of Netflix's Bling Empire, and as the creative force behind her Wet Paws Media. Born in Kunming, China, Kelly's journey to success included moving to Chicago at age 10 and then overcoming cultural and linguistic barriers before dreaming up the idea of Bling Empire.
And just try to be a better version of myself.
A philanthropist at heart, Kelly shares about the nonprofit she and her partner and baby daddy, William Ma, began a couple of years ago with the goal of helping the local community.
The reason I did it more is because I think this is a great big step for the Asian community.
As we explore the diverse facets of her life, we unravel Kelly's story, which embodies resilience and empowerment as together we pass the power, one episode at a time. So I'm here in LA with Kelly Mi Lee. Did I say that right?
Yes, you did.
Oh my God, I was very nervous about pronouncing it. Thank goodness.
No.
Got that right. And I live in Singapore. And so I know the Crazy Rich Asians. And I wonder, when you look back on your role at Bling Empire, which was pivotal, you know, the way it kind of changed the way people thought about the Asian community. As executive director on that, how did you shape it? How did you really think about how that story was going to be told so people would have the right idea of the Crazy Rich Asians?
I think the beautiful thing about reality show is that it would just take its life, like take a life by its own. So we don't need to craft it as much as, you know, like as a scripted show. I think just finding the right people and the right chemistry. And when you put everybody together and these people, these amazing cast together, you know, the camera will just catch whatever it's supposed to catch.
But we hear reality shows, there is a lot of crafting. There is a lot of leading characters to be a certain way, and
to a degree, because you kind of cast those members and you're putting those members together, the cast members together according to their personality already. But I'm not going to tell you, hey, you have to be the villain on the show when you're actually the nicest person ever, right? So that's not going to work in a sense. But as far as is it structured, yes.
Right.
Because, you know, there's a way of reality show used to film is that they just catch you 24/7, and then in the editing room they edit whatever makes sense. But you know, our life is so different, as you know, in real life so many things happen, but the audience won't be able to follow 10 storylines at the same time. So we have to make sure we edit correctly so the audience can follow from the beginning of the season to middle of the season to end of the season. So it is structured.
And your role as executive producer on it, how involved were you in the day-to-day?
I actually was not super involved in day-to-day filming because I was also a cast member. So I was very, very involved at putting the show together and, you know, putting the package together for the buyers. But, you know, I have never been on camera before. I wasn't planning on being camera. I've always been producer, and that was where my passion is.
Well, how did you have the idea?
Actually from the book Crazy Rich Asians. I read the book, and like you said, sometimes when you read a book, these are kind of seems like a friend of mine, a friend of here and there. But the hard thing is putting the cast together, because a lot of the friends I had in mind, they couldn't do it, right? Because the family reasons, and, you know, because Asian culture, it is a little bit closed off on, you know, we want to be very private. And I was very, very grateful. I have to give props to King for sticking with me from beginning. He was the first person that said yes to me and first person that believed in the project. And we went through a lot together until we got the project sold and the show became what it was, yeah.
But he's a showman anyway, right?
Oh,
Has he
great.
ever seen a camera he didn't love?
I feel like King's like made for camera, you know, off camera as well. He has this presence about him. For me, when I'm off camera, I'm just like, don't talk to me. Like, let me just do my thing. I'm very comfortable behind a computer. I'm actually kind of a shy person. You know, King's made for the camera.
And what about intellectual property? When we think about IP, I know that's such a buzzword in content creation, because so often people think about, oh, I don't own it after it's too late.
Different things, you know, obviously you can produce things independently. A lot of time with content creation, or you own social media channel, you actually own the IP. I do a lot of independent films, which I own the IP too. But with this project, with Bling Empire, it is sold to Netflix, so Netflix owns the IP.
Can you tell us why it was canceled?
They don't really give us the real reason. I think we had a really great run. I honestly feel, for me, I felt like we left on the high.
I was really shocked.
For me, I always feel like, you know, leave it at a high. You don't have to leave when a project is like at the end. I miss the crew so much, and I miss, you know, hanging out with the cast. But, you know, it happens what happens.
I guess you had the luxury of having money when it was canceled, you weren't like, oh no, what am I going to do?
The reason I did it more is because I think this is a great big step for the Asian community. Before Crazy Rich Asians, before, even Fresh Off the Boat, all that stuff, Asian representation just wasn't really there, especially on the global market for Americans. Middle America had a lot of stereotypes of Asians. They don't really understand it in a sense where it was great in a sense that we gave more exposure. We broke stereotypes. Mm-hmm. Yes, of course, people came up to like, you're putting the stereotype that all Asians are rich. Mm-hmm. In a way, that's what the trend was. And that's what was opening doors for us. But also, if you look at Bling Empire, we talked about a lot of real life problems that doesn't matter if you're rich or not. You're going through those problems, And every single cast member was so open about them, from finding real parents, from going through toxic relationships, from fertility issues. I feel like every single cast member really gave it all.
When you think about a successful partnership and you're working on projects, what is required for successful partnership, and how much does representation kind of come into play in your mind when you're thinking of partnership or a new project?
I think with partnerships, trust is the most important thing for me for a partnership, that I know I'm going to have your back and I'm going to believe that you have my back as well. That's the most important thing. And it's kind of the hardest thing I think to find, especially in the entertainment industry. But I'm always thinking about how do we create more jobs behind the scenes for API community. But as far as like what I'm looking for a partner, I think as long as your partners have the same vision as you and believe. But, also there's just great IPs and great stories to be told that are not all Asian American. I did a true crime, drama with Michael Shannon and starring some great younger, actors. But in real life, those actors weren't Asian. So it's a great story. I'm going to still tell it, but then we just try to, make sure we have representation and a diverse crew in the background as well. But, like stories like 21, I don't know if you've ever seen that movie. It's about a bunch of MITT students that went to Vegas and they were playing blackjack. They cheated at a casino. Those kids were Asian. They just I don't know how I want to say that word, whiteified the cast, the whole cast on the movie were white. Then that's not right, right?
So you're from Kunming.
Yes.
I wonder, when did you leave and come to the U.S.?
I was about 9.5, 10 years old.
How much do you think that history of coming from China and coming to the U.S. kind of plays into the way you live today?
We're immigrants. I know that for me, I have to work harder to, achieve my goals here and for people to take me seriously, to just work harder. And then later on in my life, that's when I realized, hey, I've got to do work-life balance and, got to be a little...
Did you hate it? Did you love it?
I don't know if I hate it or love it. I think it's just very different. So it's very eye-opening. And obviously, learning English was a whole separate thing. And, I got bullied in school the first day. I started fourth grade. And knowing me, I fought back. And this girl named Gina, she pulled my hair in gym class. And I fought back and pulled her hair back. But later on, we became best friends. And, she took me under her wings. And, taught me a lot about the American culture.
And your mom, I've read that she was a tiger mom.
Oh, yeah.
And that I think you guys kind of have come back together later in life.
My whole family are doctors. So my mom, of course, wanted me to become a doctor. And one of the reasons that she came to the U.S. and worked very, very hard was because she wanted me to have a better education here. And then she wanted me to have more opportunities. And of course, when I dropped out of college and when I rebelled, it was very painful for her. I moved out as soon as I turned 18 because I just was like, I need to do my own thing. I need to find out what I want to do kind of thing and who I am. And, so every time I picked the phone, it wasn't like, how are you? Or how are things? It was just more like, so when are you going to go back to school? Like, when are you going to get your master's? When are you going to go get your PhD, right?
Was this your mom and your dad or just your mom?
Just my mom. My dad left the family when I was 12 years old because he came to the U.S. with us. And then he just like, okay, I'm going to go back to China and I'll come back. And he never did. For him, it was like he couldn't swallow his ego, that he couldn't be like, I have to work at restaurants. I'm in China. I'm such a respected doctor and everybody's like asking me for favors. And so it was really my mom, and I grew up here and then she did everything she could, but she was also very hard on me.
So you left at 18 and kind of cut things off with your mom.
I don't think we got cut off per se, but our communications were just horrible. We couldn't really communicate. Obviously I'll go back to visit her, all that stuff. But until about a few years ago when I was like going through a lot of stuff with like, I was learning more into like self-discovery and mental health and going into my past, how it affected me personally, like even subconsciously, something I didn't realize it. And I realized it, had to do, a lot with my mom. So now she lives with me and we're in the Bay Area, in San Francisco. We started a business together, and she helped me also with raise my daughter, and she was there when my daughter was born, and it was just really nice. Mealy. So it's
cute.
It's funny. We took part of my name for her and my partner's last name for her. Yeah.
Well, I've seen her on Instagram, and she is absolutely adorable.
Thank you,
she's like the perfect kind of chubby, cute, exactly how you want a little baby girl.
Yeah,
so
she's definitely very chubby.
it's the best thing in the world, right?
It is such an amazing feeling.
So one of the things you were talking about how your mom made you do things that you didn't want to do.
Yeah.
And as Caucasian tiger mom, all my friends in Singapore say I'm more tiger than they are.
Uh-oh.
And my kids have gone through the local school, the only Caucasians. I think sometimes we have to make our children do things they don't want to do, and they will thank us for it later because they just don't know what's best.
In a way, but I feel like there's also a ways for positive reinforcement. If you don't do this, you're gonna get punished, right? Instead of like when you do something, it's like great job. Like my mom before was like she didn't really know how to say like I'm proud of you or like good job. It was all like if you get 100%, it's expected. It's kind of like okay, they don't say anything. But then when you get like 92%, then it's like negative, and just nag you, right? So it's just like a positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement thing.
Looking back on the relationship with your mom and now having a daughter, what will you take from your mom?
You know, even now seeing my mom as a grandma with my daughter.
She's like perfect.
She's like amazing and perfect. I mean, I don't remember she was like that with me. I felt like she was harder. I don't know. She wasn't like us like, but now like she's always hugging my daughter. There's a lot of physical like, you know, affection, which I don't remember having that, you know, back then. She's always hugging my daughter. I was kissing my daughter. I was like, did she do that to me? I don't really remember. She gave up everything. She could have, you know, stayed in China and lived a very comfortable lifestyle. But because, you know, our family was really well respected, but she decided to come to the US and work 3 jobs just to support us. And now I'm thinking back about it. I'm like, she did it all for me.
I also read about your hot sauce, this new endeavor that you have, Hotjiang. Hotjiang. This was a catalyst from your mom's recipe?
Yep.
So tell me, why did you decide I need a hot sauce?
You know, what's funny. So I've been in, my business partner, Joey, and I've been doing manufacturing for a very long time. We were the service leg for a lot of different celebrity brands, but we've never owned our own IP. There hasn't been something that we're like, we want to dedicate our life for a few years 100% on building this IP and building this brand, something we're really passionate about. And the funny thing is, my mom came out to Los Angeles and we filmed for Bling Empire on a scene that she was actually cooking for us. And I loved her cooking. And then this time I was like, I want you to teach me how to make mi xian. Because, you know, when you're not around all the time and I want to eat it. And she cooked for me, Kim, King, Kevin. And after the camera was off, she cooked for the whole crew. I was like, why is it every time I went to different restaurants? Because there's other restaurants I go to when I travel all around the world and they always serve mi xian. Every time I order, it's never the same. She goes, the secret is my sauce. And we start talking more and she's like, well, Ashley, your grandma taught me this and I change a little bit for your taste bud, but each time I cook it, you know, and I found something you liked and I really stick with it when you're younger. And I was like, I don't remember this. Like you crafted this, like, you know, from my grandma's recipe and almost made it specially for me. She goes, yes. And she's like, and then when I remember you liking it, I just keep making the same way every single time. Now that one of the things she you know, with the baby is a little bit harder now, but before I gave birth, she was teaching me how to cook. She was teaching me a lot of her recipes, and there are just so many.
Are you filming it?
I'm not that great at filming for some reason, even though I know I'm like, you know, I'm supposed to. But a lot of it was just between me and her, you know. And so I called my business partner. I said, hey, I want to do this. And then I went over with him, and he's like, this is a great idea. And I said, yeah, let's launch with the hot sauce because that's the signature, and that's what a lot of our recipes are based off. It's also really great for me because I get to share my culture. This is from Kunming, like you said, Yunnan province. So Yunnan food is not very, I think, known on the global market.
I know you've brought some of the sauce today.
I did. Do you like spicy?
I love spicy.
Okay,
I love
good.
Spicy. So this one is the OG, you said.
This is the OG.
This is the original.
This is the original. And then we also did a mild version, extra spicy version.
And you did that because customers were saying, we need variety, or you just came out with all three
We
originally?
just launched all three at the same time. You know? And there's the oil on top, and there's a lot of crunch here. How about I hold this, just in case.
I grew up in North Carolina, and my husband is from Alabama. And it's so funny because we've lived in Singapore for 16 years, and there's a lot of spice in Asia, as you know.
Yep.
And we love spice. And so I feel like we're just making up for all the lack of flavor that we did not have.
Oh my God, I love it. If you can bring it back with your suitcase,
here we go.
Okay.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. It's spicy, but it's good. I love
Okay.
it.
But you taste the mushroom and the unami.
Umami, and then a bit of mushroom.
Yeah.
But I brought this because this is like the Tabasco is like my favorite, and so
So you like that sour.
I will almost always
Like-
have it with me.
I love that.
Yeah.
Singapore's food is like, oh, I miss it.
What's your favorite thing?
In Singapore? Well, chili crab always, because just because it's such a staple. And also, I cannot find any place in LA or the Bay Area that has great chili crab. So if you guys have any suggestions, please let me know.
So you were talking about the children, your daughter, and the hot sauce, and other projects that are in the work. So we've always said that women can have it all, but we know the truth is it's very difficult.
It's very difficult
to have it all. How are you managing it?
My mom definitely helps a lot. Just a great team. You really need great support around you.
And what about for those listening and watching who don't have a team?
Give yourself breaks. I think that's one thing, and take it easy on yourself too. Because a lot of time, before I was always like, I don't know, I always feel so defeated if I can't do it all, and I was very, very hard on myself. But now I'm like, if I feel like a certain way, I'm like, okay, I just gotta take a breather. It's okay. It's okay to cancel plans. It's okay not to say yes to everything. I used to be such a people pleaser. I want to do everything. I want to make sure everybody else is happy. But then at the end of it, I wasn't happy. And you can't pour from an empty glass.
And since motherhood, have your aspirations changed?
Definitely more grounded, and it gives me a stronger reason for what I do. It's for family.
And what other projects are you working on?
A lot. Obviously, my focus really is Hajjang. We're coming out with new products. There's this show called Expo West. That's the biggest natural food shows, on this side. And we previewed our chili oil last year at Expo West. And in 2 weeks, we are going back to Expo West now with a way bigger team, way bigger booth, and we're previewing our next product line. So right now, everybody's just like kind of really focused on that. And as far as producing goes, I obviously still produce. So I have some great projects in the work right now.
Anything upcoming?
There's a feature movie coming out that I produced, and just more stuff but I'm not in front of cameras. I'm just more behind the scenes.
So will you be in front of the camera again?
I think I will for the right project. I think for me, it's really just about, there has to be a reason for it, because also I've got offered for in front of camera stuff for different acting gifts, for scripted stuff, just because, a lot of my friends are in the industry. For me, I have so much respect for actors because I know how much work they put in. And I know that for me, sometimes, unless I can do it right, I don't want to take the job away from somebody else, right?
And the things that you are producing, are these partnerships with others? Are these ideas that you had that you have gone out and got helped with the funding and make happen? How does it work?
There's definitely scripts and projects and ideas that I'm developing from the ground up that came from my brain and stuff like that, and I just developed from the beginning on. And there's also projects that other past partners or friends, like, hey, I have this, what do you think? And I was like, I see your vision and I want to help you to make that happen. So I would jump on later on and help them whatever they need.
I was reading online about Mili's baby daddy, William.
Yes.
And can you tell us how is the relationship? How are you co-parenting?
Meeting Will and having Will in my life, I would say, is one of the best things that ever happened to me. And I actually have to thank King for. I don't know if you read How We Met.
Tell me. I don't know.
We're filming season 3 of Bling Empire in San Francisco, and King saw him on the street. Being the bubbly person he is, King ran down the street and was like, hey, are you single? Ran after him.
I want you to meet my friend.
Pretty much. And, I was there with my mom, and I'm very, oblivious a lot of the time. I'm just I don't know. I'm just, in my own little world. So King dragged him over and was like, oh, I met this really handsome guy for you. And when he dragged him over, and I was like, oh, hi, whatever. Me and him are both really shy. And that was kind of the end of it. And then I'm 38 now, so I was 36 at the time. And I was from my previous relationship, my ex was 1 year younger than me. And the one before that was about the same age, but a little bit younger than me. So I was in my head, I was like, okay, the next guy is it. I got to settle down. I want to really find my true love. And I need to date older because, men very mature, right? So then I found out when King was like, oh, how old are you? He's 29. And I was like, no, there's just no way, But we got connected again later. Actually, King got his phone number from somebody in that area who knew him. We got reconnected because we both had such a passion for philanthropy, and also at that time was really about for Asian hate crime because it was going on so frequently in America. So we got connected to talk about that and just see how we can add our resources together and how we can just for the cause. one thing led to another. 3 weeks after that, I was in San Francisco for a meeting, and I said, hey, I'm going to be in San Francisco for a meeting on it was a Monday. I said, if I come out a day earlier, do you want to grab coffee? Thinking it was going to be like a 30-minute situation. We ended up spending 10 hours together, and that was kind of it. But it was never really forced. Everything was very natural, organic. It was never a weird moment. There was never, I don't know, just happened very organically. And he's literally the best person I've ever met. He's so great. But as far as co-parenting goes, those one beautiful thing about it is just our moral and value and everything is so in line. There's just not a lot of conflict. Yeah. I know it sounds really weird and sounds kind of fake, but it's just so true,
But are you guys living together?
We are.
You are.
That's why I moved up to the Bay Area full time.
And your mom loves him?
My mom loves him, and we're just,
Well, good. It's all simpatico.
He's so mature. Yeah, he's Asian American, and I don't feel like any age thing. I call him for advice all the time. It's just so nice that I don't have to think when I'm around him. Just everything's just like he think for me, like in a sense. William and I started our nonprofit together a couple years ago called Golden Voice Society, and we do a lot of direct to impact projects. So we have 3 programs right now. One of the program, I'll just call you a couple of them. One of the program is called the Lock Exchange Program. So for a lot of Asian businesses, we are able to tell that they get a lot burglarized through breaking of the lock, of cutting the lock. Because unfortunately, Chinese people like to buy cheap locks, because we want to save money. And we have a lock exchange program where we give them more cut resistant locks, and we put it on for them, exchange the bad lock back. And ever since we finished that, the burglary went down about 97% from cutting the lock.
It's
obviously
like such a small thing.
It's such a small thing. So that for the business, and obviously we're going to also start doing a camera program as well to supply cameras, security cameras in these areas. And the other one we're doing is called the Missing Grandma Project, which started in San Francisco already. And it's a lot of the elders have Alzheimer's and dementia, and they wander from home. They don't remember where they live. Also, there's their names, and also there's a language barrier. So sometimes they get found, it takes them 3-4 hours to get home. And then there's been very unfortunate cases that they never make it home. And our bracelet has a medical alert bracelet. It's a dementia bracelet. So it's, you have to have their family member take it off with them, but it has a medical alert number on them, has a case number, has 911 and some basic information. They'll see the case number, they'll say call 911, they'll call 911 to give the dispatcher the case number, and all their information gets pulled up.
That's amazing. I'm so glad we got here. I didn't know this, and I don't know that, is this covered? Is it out there in the press?
A little bit, yeah.
That's noble and inspiring. So, well, how important do you think it is for people who have the capacity to do something philanthropic? Should that be a part of a business plan?
I think so. For us, all of our business actually make sure there is a giving back aspect. So for us, for the hot sauce, a percentage of all the proceeds goes back to nonprofits and different, for this one specifically for the different AAPI nonprofit. But also I do have to say, just because I've always donated to a lot of different organizations, it's always been part of my lifestyle. But I do have to say that just make sure that the money that you do donate goes to direct to impact causes, and also that what's doing. Sometimes, there's been situations I've gave money and I have no idea what happened to it.
Well, I was on TikTok the other day, and this guy was talking about how so many people think they have to wait until they're rich to do something. Yeah. And it should actually be, as you're able. Yeah. To do, he was saying, just do 10%. Yeah. And do for others, because it's going to come back to you. And don't wait until you're rich, because you're never going to be rich enough maybe, and then you're not going to do what you need to do.
Absolutely, because just for $30, so even if you donate $5 or $1, whatever it is, it's part of that. Gets a bracelet. You're gonna find a grandma. You're gonna help a grandma find home. You never know. Like her life might be dependent on that $30. And same thing with our lock exchange program. It's $25 for a lock. So every dollar counts.
Tell me this: are you still in contact with the cast from Bling Empire?
Every single cast member on that show the Emporians had at one point, had a real friendship at one point, and obviously throughout the season, there is a lot of situation. We really get to know some people, and you really get in a confrontational kind of state. Some of them, just grow, you kind of grow apart. You might not be as close as you were before the camera started rolling. I'm probably still closest with King out of because King and I have been friends for over 10 years before that. Kevin and Christine I saw recently at a Netflix event, and Kim and I, we'll test each other once in a while. But I would say I'm obviously not as close as when we're filming, because when you're filming, you're with them every single day. Even your social times, you're just hanging out with them. So yeah.
And for those of you listening and watching, there is an episode with Kane from a couple years ago. So go back and check that one out.
With you?
Yeah.
Which one?
Yeah. It's a podcast episode that we did together.
Oh my God.
He was in Singapore.
Okay.
And it was probably a couple years ago. And
Okay.
He was so cute. And I just remember I had on a yellow diamond that day, and he just would not shut up about it.
Okay. I love it.
Do you have a dream collaboration? Is there somebody out there you'd love to work with?
I love Shay Mitchell on social media. Like, I think her content is just so amazing and so well done. There's a mix of so many things, and she does it in a way that's so beautifully like intertwined. You know, she has her bag line, she has her drink line, and also she's a mom. She's very obviously fashion and beauty, and she's funny too. You know, just like she's also very real in a sense. The funny thing is, I know her from way back in the day. We didn't really get to know each other because it was a big group on those all 3 trips. But yeah, I just, you know, seeing her grow and also her content, just love. As far as like, I don't know, there's just so many great people to collaborate with. There's so many talented people.
Okay, so Shay, definitely make it happen.
Okay, we'll see.
We'll manifest it. We'll put it out
see.
there, and we'll make
see.
it happen.
Yeah, I don't know what we do together, but I just like, I don't know, but yeah.
And then, do you have one piece of advice for an actor, for a content creator who is aspiring and wants to make it in the business?
I would say, find something that you're actually really passionate about and don't give up on it, because it is hard. I think just finding the topic that you're really passionate about and be true to yourself.
And speaking of content creation, do you think, oh God, I haven't posted in a while, I need to post, or do you have a schedule?
I'm so bad at that. I just do it whenever I remember, which is not a lot of time. I don't know. I was pretty good at a point,
You got a
but
business.
after the baby, it was just so hard. There's just no free time. So if I, you know, remember to pick up the camera, but I do try my best to be like as authentic as possible and as real as possible. I do share my struggles as much as possible. So because I think I want to, you know, my life's not perfect and I don't want to put it out there. You know?
Is.
Yeah.
And what about Will? Are we going to have an engagement anytime soon, or?
For me, I'm not rushing it. I think, you know, we're committed for life. Like, that's my life partner. You know, it's my soulmate. And I know that we're going to be together for the rest of our life.
Maybe best not to get married and mess it up.
Yeah, there's no rush, you know. I would love to have a great party for my friends, you know, but as far as like a piece of paper, it's not really on my list. I don't need to have it, you know.
And what does your mom say? She's
not really rushing anymore either. Even when I was single, it was at the beginning, it was like, before I was like, when are you getting married? When are you getting married? When are you getting married? And then I think when I hit like 32, 33, it was like, when are you having a baby? When are you having a baby? She was kind of like, screw the marriage, you know. Once in a very blue moon, she will bring it up. When are you guys gonna get married? But you know, I think she's happy with her granddaughter right now, and you know, she's just enjoying being a grandma.
I only have one more question for you. So before we close, is there anything that you want to put out there that we haven't covered today that you think is important?
Just hope our world, our world and our society just become more positive. That's really it.
Okay, where do you see yourself at age 60?
I think life really is just about traveling and be with family and great friends and eat good food and just dance and like live a good life. So that's all I really want to do. I just want to travel with family and good friends and expressing different parts of life and culture, and life is about experiences, and I want to keep experiencing that.
By 60, your daughter will be just out of university probably.
Yeah, I want her to do whatever she wants to do.
You will not be Tiger and...
No, I'm not going to. I actually was like, before today's talk, I was more like, yeah, just let her do whatever she wants to do, and if she wants to do this, she can do that. But then today, after what you said to me, was like, you don't want your kids to say, I didn't push you hard enough.
Exactly.
I didn't guide you enough. And now I'm like, okay, maybe there's a balance. Yeah. So thank you for that.
Well, you're very welcome. But I do think that once they get to be 12, 13, you know how they are, and they know it's shaped, right? But that young age, if you know they're capable, then I do think we have to push, because you do not innately push yourself when you're 6 years old.
Yeah, no, that's so true.
So I do think a little nudge, a little push, but then once they get to a certain age, you have to take your foot off the gas, because we have to let them be and take the path, right?
That's hard, and it's really scary. I feel like teen years, just like, you know.
I have a 15-year-old and a 20-year-old.
The teen years, like, there's that little period that you just got to kind of let go in a sense and let them make their mistakes. But at the same time, you just like, I don't know, and just, they learned everything when they're younger, and I trust that they wouldn't make the right choice.
Thank you for sharing today.
No,
it was incredible.
Thank
I feel
you.
like you did a lot of passing the power.
Thank you for having this podcast and the space for us to have this conversation so the audience can listen.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Thanks,
I feel like we
Paige.
need to high five.
I'm gonna high five. Yes. That was great.
Power Tribe, I am delighted to have you along on this adventure. Thanks for listening, watching, and yes, subscribing. Hopefully, we've elevated your day. That's what we aim to do on Pass the Power, available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Recording and exploring content creation in LA with Gush Cloud for this new season was nothing short of epic, both entertaining and enlightening. I hope you agree. Or not. Do let me know, since your feedback and guest ideas fuel our journey. And please drop me an email at pp@paigeparker.com. And if you want more behind the scenes magic, follow at Paige Parker on Instagram and TikTok. Let's keep the good vibes flowing while we pass the power, one episode at a time.